Hello whiskey lovers and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. I am again in the heart of Ghent at Proof, you know, that whiskey shop and whiskey bar where you can try before you buy. I come here quite often, not simply because they have one of the most extensive selections in Ghent, but also it's, well, proverbially round the corner for me. They have weekly tastings, etc, etc, so I come here quite often. And at one of my recent visits, I discovered what I would describe as a hidden gem, and that is this one, Ballechin. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ballechin before I tell you about the bottling. Ballechin used to be a distillery near Pitlochry, where you can now find the Edradour distillery. And Andrew Symington and his team, who own Edradour, but also the signatory independent bottling company, they started distilling with the Ballechin recipe in mind. The Ballechin Distillery operated until the late 1800s, and they found documents with the recipe of Ballechin, and which was quite exceptional because Ballechin was a heavily peated Highland whiskey. And that's what they started distilling in 2004. And what we have here is a Ballechin single cask. This was an oloroso sherry casks that was selected by some Flemish friends, including the owners of the proof shop. They went over there in March 2016, and while some sherry butts were being rolled down to the bottling hall to, to disappear actually into the official Ballechin distillery bottlings, they found this oloroso sherry cask. They plopped out the bung, they said, let us have a sip, and they decided on the spot that they wanted this single cask for their own. Now, what is special about this is that it's basically one of the first distillates from Ballechin, because it was distilled in 2004, and after 12 years on an oloroso sherry cask, this was bottled at a whopping 53.7% ABV. Oloroso sherry cask and heavily peated, which in my opinion is always a bit of a tricky, it's hit or miss, but when it's hit, it really hits you right where it should. And that's what I thought when I first tried this, and I said, I have to go back there, I have to try it again, make a Whiskey Rambling and share this hidden gem with the viewers of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. So here we are. As you can see, this is a very dark, it's darker than amber, it's almost mahogany, and it clings to the glass beautifully, and that's probably because it has quite the body, because this is at cask strength. On the nose. This hits it right where it should. It is sweet and dark. It's got all the dark oloroso sherry traits like raisins and even some dark chocolate. But what makes this one stand out for me is that it is very umami. I get some roast beef, I get some herbs, that sort of thing. It's very rich and aromatic, and it fills up the room immediately. I don't even have to put my nose in the glass anymore simply to sniff this whiskey. I can smell it all around me. Very rich and aromatic, very inviting, and very special indeed. On the palate then. Good mouthfeel. It covers the mouth completely on the inside, and it warms your throat immediately. Again, all these dark notes that you would expect from a heavily sherried whiskey, but in this case, all of that is wrapped in a heavily peated blanket as well. This makes me feel that like this is the ideal dram for after dinner. When you're sitting in your fauteuil and watching an open fire. This is an after dinner dram for the winter. This is something for Christmas Eve, maybe even. And the funny thing is, there are not that many bottles around, and they can only be found in Belgium because they were bottled. This is called the Flemish Tour bottling, because a couple of Flemish friends went out there and selected this cask. There were only 360 bottles of these. So if you want to get your hands on it, you will have to look out for it and maybe get in touch with the people at Proof. The finish, I almost forgot. Long and lingering, very warming, very soothing as well, and the smoke fades very gently, leaving you with a big smile on your face. Now, Ballechin is, unfortunately, in my opinion, not that very well known. They've had releases before, the official Ballechin releases. They were finished on special casks like Burgundy, Sauternes, Port, whatever. But this is fully matured for 12 years on an oloroso sherry cask. I'm not sure if it was first or second fill. I would dare say first fill, because this is really wow, very chocolatey, very raisiny, rum raisins and that sort of thing. So this is hit. This is hit 100%. And I'm a bit surprised. Well, yes and no. I'm surprised that Ballechin does not yet release single casks that much, because this is really outstanding. And I'm not surprised that my friends from Proof, Jeroen and Timon, and their friends selected this cask, because this is really outstanding. This is what I would call a hidden gem. And it also tells me that Andrew Symington and his team are doing things right. This is one hell of a dram. So, if I were a scoring man, I don't usually give scores in videos, but if I were a scoring man, this would be a big 88 to 89. So really, a hidden gem. Try to get your hands on this. This is one hell of a whiskey. And that's all for this Whiskey Rambling, and I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you again at one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the malt be with you. Bye-bye.